everybody, it's High Priestess Banahay from Shalom Ministries, here to talk to you guys about the third Bible story, which is Cain and Abel and their story. So previously we've talked about the creation of the world, we've talked about Adam and Eve, and now we are on Cain and Abel. So as we move forward, hold on, let me kind of put this down a little bit so we can kind of get a better... Okay, so as we move forward, we understand that this was one of the first major tragedies that happened in humanity, because it was the first murder. It was the first, of its kind, death and so far of that. So, and it happened because sin that entered humanity that happened after the fall with Adam and Eve, which was the reason why for this. So let's move forward. So God ended up accepting Abel's his offering, but rejected Cain's, which of course made him mad. So in Genesis 4 and 5, we see the Lord respected Abel and his offering, but did not respect Cain and his offering. Abel, the firstborn, the best, gave a blood offering, which symbolized obedience and atonement, whereas Cain gave an offering from the ground, which was not the first nor the best, and it was without obedience. Okay? And it was about the way that their hearts showed through their gifts that made it, worthy or unworthy. So Cain became jealous and angry, essentially, at his brother, and his conscience fell. His face even showed that he was feeling such a way. His heart had changed for the jealous, and pride opened the door for the sin of murder. So God warned Cain before he sinned. He said in Genesis 4:7, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Stop before you destroy yourself. But Cain ignored God. Cain lured Abel into the field and murdered him. So Cain began to be banished. He was sent away, and that's in Genesis 4:12 through 16. Now, Adam and Eve continued their life, and Seth came along after, which was the line that began the godly seed, which we'll explain in a minute. Seth's descendants were the line that God called on. Okay? Genesis 4:26 says, Then began men to call upon the name of the Lord. Like worship and praise. Now what we see is, through Seth, eventually came the following people: Enosh, Kenan, Mahel, Jared, Enoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Abraham, Israel, David, and ultimately Jesus Christ. So this is the line that God used for his covenant. Humanity became corrupt after their deaths. So as generations increased in sin, God was like, oh, what wickedness. Every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. Violence, adultery, and corruption filled the earth. Right? So Cain's line became the fallen line, right? Because Seth's line was the godly line, and Cain killed Abel. So his became the fallen line. Cain killed Abel and became a wanderer, and his descendants became builders of city culture, creators of music, tools, and weapons, and known for violence and pride, much like him. Adam and Eve, however, remained together and continued raising their family and growing Earth's population. Adam lived to 930 years. That's pretty crazy. And we never really heard, whatever happened to Eve, how she died or when she died. We just know that, she became the mother of all because she helped populate the earth and watched the, ages grow. So the mother of all living things. Everything that happened in early human history came from her children and grandchildren. So you guys, that's the story of Cain and Abel, which eventually leads us into Noah and the flood, which is the fourth story that we'll be getting into sometime soon. So stay tuned for the videos. Thank you so much for watching. Stay blessed, never stressed, with much peace, much power, much love, much light, and of course, much joy. See you guys next time.